The Kraken aspect of the show here, and it's another tough one, just like I talked about with the Sounders here. This didn't necessarily start out tough, but the way it ended is kind of tough, and the way that the season is going, just it's been a rough stretch. So we'll get into it. March 26th versus the Anaheim Ducks, a 4-0 win. So it's the first of 2 games that the Kraken and the Ducks will play over the course of 3 days. There's 3 players of the game here. There's a lot going on. Our first player of the game for Matty Beniers, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, a 2+-, 2 shots, and 2 hits on the day for Matty. Player of the game number 2, forward Ellie Tolvanen, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, a 2+-, 4 shots, and 1 hit on the day. And then player of the game number 3, with it being a shutout, goaltender Joey Daccord. Only 12 saves in this game, but it was Joey's 3rd shutout of the season. A shutout's a shutout. Hard to be mad at that. The teams do get 1 day in between their 2 games here. They get back to it March 28th, the Pride Night for the Kraken versus the Anaheim Ducks, a 4-2 win. Our player of the game for Jared McCann, 3 assists, 3 points, 3 shots. His first 3-assist game of his career as the Kraken celebrate Pride Night. Both of those games against the Ducks, there's a lot of physicality, really division rivals kind of thing. A lot of penalty minutes. The Kraken had, I believe it was 10 power plays in the March 28th game. There's a lot of power plays going on. It's just a lot. And then in this game on the 28th, the Ducks scored 2 shorthanded goals within, I believe it was the same minute. So there was a lot of chaos happening in both of those games, and it tends to be how it goes when the Ducks come to town. Trevor Zegras broke a camera in the penalty box, so it was a whole thing. But, we get to this end of the homestand. It was the end of the 4-game homestand on March 30th versus the Dallas Stars. Much better team, a Dallas team that's heading to the playoffs once again this year. And the Kraken get shut out 0-3. Seattle did a good job of defending Dallas, honestly, making sure that there weren't any high danger chances. There wasn't a lot of high activity. If there was, Seattle was able to snuff it out or get lucky here and there. There were a few times that Joey Daccord had to get bailed out by his teammates. Riker Evans, right at the end of the first period, was able to come in and block a shot. Oliver Bjorkstrand came and blocked a shot. I believe it was in the second period. Both of those plays occurring as essentially Dallas had an empty net. But the other side of that, Seattle really not able to generate much at all on the offensive side of things. Jake Ottinger gets a shutout. When you're not able to generate anyway, let alone you're playing Jake Ottinger, it's going to be tough. So the Kraken get shut out there. There isn't a lot to talk about with the last stretch of games. Nice to see that you can still handle business against a bad team like the Ducks. And deal with, the heightened, emotions and the anger and the frustration side of things that's coming from Anaheim, with Trevor Zegras breaking a penalty box camera. But, my issue with the Dallas game is not that you lost to Dallas. Like, considering the way you've played throughout the course of the year, I kind of expected it. And even if you were fully healthy and playing for a playoff spot like right now, I still think you probably lose to Dallas, just how good they are. It's showing what the issues were. Seattle played solid game defensively throughout the course of it. Really didn't give up the 2 goals. It was a 1-score game until a bad Adam Larson penalty that, yes, probably shouldn't have been a game misconduct. Or a major, but was still, it was a bad hit. That's the point. Let's get that across, right? That creates a power play. Dallas scores 8 seconds into it. They get the empty netter. So you take those 2 goals away, you're still in it, but you really hadn't done anything to really challenge Jake Ottinger here and there. And then, you don't have the skill, it seems, to be able to go ahead and just have a point per game player to go out there and these elite scorers that can ensure that you're going to not get shut out, that bring that offensive side of things, make the rest of the team better, that you can rely on to be an offensive impact player. You don't have that right now per se, at least on a consistent level throughout the course of the season. So it just kind of was indicative of what we've seen throughout the course of the year, and it was frustrating in that regard to see something such as that. So we go over here to some team-related news. We've got a bunch of roster-related moves, so we'll go through that and see what's going on. I just had it. Here we go. So back, we talked about, we had our friend RJ talk about the Logan Morris and Ryan Winterton moves on the 25th. At 5 o'clock, the Kraken recalled defenseman Gustav Olsson from the Coachella Valley Firebirds on an emergency basis. We'll go through it there. In those Ducks games, Logan Morrison did make his NHL debut. He joined Ty Cartier as the only undrafted players to make their NHL debuts with the Kraken. But regardless, we keep moving. There's a few ELCs that were signed, so we'll talk about that in a minute, but we're going to look at mostly the roster moves here. There's a lot of back and forth. On the 29th, defenseman Cale Fleury was recalled by the Kraken on an emergency basis. Additionally, defenseman Gustav Olsson was reassigned to Coachella Valley. Then on the 30th, Cale Fleury was reassigned to the Firebirds from the Kraken. Before we get to the most recent roster move, we'll go over those ELCs. On the 27th, the team signed forward Leighton Road to a entry-level contract. The Hobey Baker nominee joins the Kraken after 2 seasons with Bemidji State. He agreed to terms with the collared free agent forward from Bemidji State on an entry-level contract that's set to begin next season at $950,000 AAV. He will spend the remainder of the 2024-24 season with the Coachella Valley Firebirds on an amateur tryout contract. Because he's a 21-year-old, it's a 2-year deal, not a 3-year deal. But still, they get a guy who the Kraken had at Dev Camp, I believe it was, into the organization, joining the Firebirds as the Firebirds prepare for their upcoming playoff run. Ron Francis said, "We are excited to have Leighton join our organization. He impressed us at our development camp this past summer and continued to grow as a player this year at Bemidji State." Rode, who stands at 5'11" and 174 pounds, has spent the last 2 seasons playing collegiate hockey at Bemidji State. In 38 games this year, he's totaled 30 points, 14 goals, 16 assists, leading his team in goals, points, power play points at 10, power play goals at 5, tied, and game-winning goals at 3, tied, shorthanded goals, 1, overtime goals, 1. Rhodes' efforts this season have earned him a nomination for the Hobey Baker Award as the top men's collegiate player, in addition to being named All CCHA First Team and being a finalist for the CCHA Forward of the Year Award. Prior to his collegiate career, the White Bear Lake, Minnesota native played for the Tri-City Storm of the USHL, recording 41 points, 22 goals, 19 assists across 60 regular season games, and scored 1 goal in 5 playoff games. He did, as mentioned by Francis in that quote, attend Seattle's development camp as an invitee at Kraken Community Iceplex during the 2023 offseason. So there is Rode there. And then on the 28th, the Kraken signed defenseman Lukas Dragicevic to an entry-level deal. He becomes the second player from the 2023 draft class to sign with the team. The 2023 second-rounder signed his entry-level contract, a $950,000 AAV deal set to begin next season. He is expected to report to the Coachella Valley Firebirds on an amateur tryout contract as well. Ron Francis, general manager, said, "We are excited to have Lucas officially sign with our organization. His WHL career has already reached historic feats, and we are looking forward to seeing him take the next step in his development." Dragicevic stands at 6'1", 190 pounds, has totaled 50 points, 14 goals, 36 assists throughout the course of this current season with the Tri-City Americans of the Western Hockey League, serving as one of his team's alternate captains as well. Those 50 points lead his team's defensemen and rank 15th among all WHL Blue Liners. His 15 goals are just one shy of his WHL career high, and the 2023-24 campaign marked the second consecutive year in which he reached the 50-point plateau. In all, Dragicevic has totaled 157 points, 35 goals, 122 assists across 222 regular season games with the Americans, ranking 3rd all-time in scoring among the franchise's defensemen. He had a career year with the Americans in 22-23, totaling 75 points, which was 15 goals and 60 assists in 68 regular season games, earning WHL first-team All-Star honors. So we've got Dragicevic, we've got Rode, and then on the 31st, of March, the Kraken brought up Shane Wright from the Coachella Valley Firebirds. He was recalled, so we will throw it back to our friend RJ from Emerald City Hockey to talk a little bit about Shane and about this call-up. So RJ, floor is yours, my friend.
Hi, everyone. It's RJ again from Emerald City Hockey, and I'm here to talk about the Kraken's recent call-up of their 2022 fourth overall pick, Shane Wright, from the Coachella Valley Firebirds, how long he might be up with the team, and the future ramifications of whatever the plan is for him over the next couple weeks. So on the ice, we know what Shane brings. With his shot, he is a threat to score at any time he's on the ice, but he's also rock solid defensively. And really, it's just a matter of getting up to speed and doing it at the NHL level. But really, what I want to talk about is a couple off ice things to look out for with this call up, particularly how long Shane Wright stays with the Kraken before being sent back down to the Firebirds. Now, there are some games played thresholds that get pretty important when looking at next year and even further beyond. Now, keep in mind, Shane has played 3 games already for the Kraken this season, and the Kraken have 9 games left on their schedule. So first, if Shane Wright plays 3 or more games the rest of the season, he won't be eligible for the Calder Trophy as Rookie of the Year next year. Now, according to the eligibility rules, if a player plays in 6 or more games in 2 prior seasons, he's no longer considered a rookie for the purposes of that award. Shane played 8 last season, so once he plays 3 more this year, that gets him to a total of 6. And at that point, he's no longer considered a rookie, and he's not eligible for that award. So personally, I don't think Calder eligibility is all that important in this case. I mean, yes, having that award as a potential carrot next year would be pretty neat for Shane and probably more so for the fans. But really, he'll have all the motivation he needs in the task of just showing that he can be a difference maker at the NHL level. So I'd like to see him play at least 3 games on this call up. I wouldn't worry about the Calder eligibility. But the second thing to look out for comes 4 games later. So if Shane Wright plays 7 or more games the rest of the season, he burns a year of his entry-level contract. Unlike the Calder issue, this one is crucial. Wright is currently on his entry-level contract, and that's a very cheap cap hit. So if he stays under 10 NHL games this year, that contract will slide forward. It's called an ELC slide. And basically that gives the Kraken another season at the end of the deal with Shane Wright on a really cheap contract. So letting him burn a whole season just to get 3 extra games at most this year, honestly, it'd be awful cap management. And there's no way the Kraken are going to let that happen. So the question is, how long will Shane Wright be with the Kraken on this call-up? Anywhere from 2 to 6 games in all likelihood. So looking at the schedule, I think there are probably 2 options that make the most sense. One, just this upcoming 3-game road trip. It's a California road trip. It's all in that state. So sending him back to Palm Springs afterward would be pretty easy, I think. Or maybe you could tack on an extra 2 games. The Kraken then have their final homestand of the season afterwards against Arizona and San Jose. You could send him back right after that, and he could gear up for the playoffs, and it's not too much travel for him. Either way, I'd probably expect to see Wright sent back to the Firebirds before the Kraken go all the way out to Dallas and start their season-ending road trip that kind of goes all throughout the Midwest. So however long Shane is up with the Kraken, what it really means is these next few games just got a lot more interesting. The playoffs aren't in the cards in the present, but we're about to get a pretty good look at the future.
Taking it from RJ there, we go over here to look at the standings for the Kraken and what's next for them. They sit at a 30-win, 30-loss, 13 overtime loss record, good for 6th in the Pacific Division with 73 standing points. Looking ahead, the Kraken play 3 games over the course of the next week. Later tonight, April 1st, at the San Jose Sharks is a 7:30 p.m. Pacific time puck drop at the SAP Center. April 3rd at the LA Kings is a 6:30 p.m. start. And then April 5th at the Anaheim Ducks is a 7 p.m. start. All of those games for you on Root Sports for you to watch. So we go over there.